Hi everyone, today I want to do a little page in my journal with you, and I have started by filling up my fountain pen with the Diamine Sepia ink, which is one of my favorite inks from them. And if you wonder what fountain pen this is, it's the Fude de Mannen Sailor fountain pen. Now, I will be honest, I didn't go to the sink and I didn't clean out the cartridge there, or the converter. So I don't know how it's going to work. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and... So it's a little bit mixed. It'll probably take a little while to unplug. So what I'm going to start doing today is, I feel like really just illustrating and doing this repetition illustration, which I have going on this side. And I really like doing that because it's really relaxing. But at the minute, I really have not a really good idea of what's happening here. It's a bit of a strange weather today, where it's raining and it's hot at the same time. We are having a heat wave coming next week, which is going to be a whole week of super high temperatures, up to 32 degrees. And I'm filming on a Friday. I don't know when I will publish this video. I presume it'll probably be coming out next week, if not the week after. So I'm just doing this illustration here in a very quick way, and usually it doesn't work really well for me. I found that my illustrations work well when I slow down and take time. However, today I want to be a little bit more experimental and not care too much about exactly what's going on. So I want to see if that will kind of be a slightly different style. Not that I'm looking for any different style. I'm quite happy with what I have going on at the moment. But it's just one of those moods when I just want to try something different. And you don't know, sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's just go for it. Just kind of scribbly. So we'll do probably 2 and 2 and 2. Let's see, yeah, I'll do that. We'll go another face here, another one slightly more rounded there, more of a triangle here, and an oval there. Okay, making it rather easy for myself. So I should have cleaned out the converter, because the color is a weird kind of mix between black and brown. So the previous color was a water soluble black ink, and this color right now, or the color that I put in, is also water soluble, but it's obviously supposed to be sepia, which it's not. So it's not what I had in mind. But anyways, let's just go with it. I think that either way we are going to learn a lesson, and I think my lesson that I feel that I'm already learning is actually, interestingly enough, it's putting me back to how I started illustrating, and how when it is unplanned and it is very messily done, it's not the style that I'm looking for. And you can see when I'm starting to concentrate, I'm getting somewhere. When I'm not, it's really all over the place. And that's exactly how you improve your art, is by, you know, just thinking and taking a little bit of time and planning where you would like to have what. We all have these days when we are not entirely sure what's going on in your creative mind and how to bring it out. Like some days I love what I have created, some days maybe not so much, so it's okay. Just be accepting of it and just continue. I think it's much better to have an attitude like that towards your art rather than the opposite, where you would sort of withdraw from your art. That's a lot worse, I find, because you need that sort of constant stimulation, really. I'm just going to give her a bit of a monobrow there. And let's see, what hair do we want? Just becoming a little bit repetitive, the hair. So, actually, I'm just going to continue with the repetition of the hair, and I'm just going to decorate it, I think, slightly differently each time. And I'm just going to stick like a little bow over there and watercolor it in. Yeah, it's a shame you can't see how beautiful this ink actually is.
I want to be daring, baby, dance the night away. I let my head down if I want. Don't you just get tired chasing fame and being pretty all the time? Doesn't sound like fun. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better, so much better. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. I want to be silly.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a watercolor brush and I'm going to take a cloth, or the muslin cloth, and just see if I can get the watercolor, or the ink rather, to move here. Yeah, there's a little bit of something happening, and you can see there's a mix now of this brown and greyish and the black. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of color in the bun and on the fringe. I wonder if this is still saveable. Some of them look horrendous today. Not always do we have our perfect days. It's just up to us to choose whether we want to show that and share it and say, look, that's okay. Let's see where we go with this, you know? Okay, so I'm going to go into watercolor now. And I am going to pick my summer color palette. To protect my other side, actually I'm going to reclip it like so. And that will lay flat now. So I do want to add a little bit of color to the hair. I wonder if you can see it or not. I'm just going to go into this color, which is gray, Payne's Gray, while the paper is still wet here. I'm just dabbing it in like so. on some of the paper, or some of them, the paper has dried up rather. So this particular sketchbook that I'm using is Stillman and Birn Alpha Series. Alpha Series is not designed for a lot of water, so it does buckle in certain circumstances. Okay, so we're starting to get somewhere with this. I'm starting to like it just a little bit more, so it's not as horrendous as it felt before. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into my favorite color at the moment, which I believe is Quinacridone Gold. Is it? I think it is. And I'm just going to add it into here. Now, the fun part about this illustration today is it's going to look messy. However, I want a certain style to be there. So the repetition here is that we are using the same colors and we are touching them and dabbing them in, and we are looking at what is happening, how the watercolor is moving and all of that. So I'm going to switch now to my pure Sable spotter brush, and I need to get this brush in a bigger size. I got one and I think I need a 3. So this brush is great for freckles, but at the minute, because the illustration is such a small scale today, I'm just going to add it underneath the eye because I want to put a blush there. Now, as I'm painting, I'm starting to think that this reminds me of how useful a limited color palette is. So it does help sometimes to reduce the colors. So I'm just going back in where it looks a little bit light and dried, and just adding kind of the glaze on top of that. So you can see at the minute I'm just using 2 colors there. So the first base color was obviously the ink with water. The second one was Payne's Gray. Third is Quinacridone Gold. So that's all good. The next color I want to do is probably a lip, and then I will decide what I will do with the cheek. So with the lip, I could go either muted and then give her a nice bright cheek, or I could go with a red lip and then decide what to do about the cheek. Okay, I'm going to go actually into this color here, which I have pre-mixed, and it's going to be a nude lip. Quite an unusual choice, which I haven't done before with watercolor at least. I wonder if you can see what I'm doing. Can you? I'm just going to zoom you in like so. Something is blinking on my camera. It could be either the video is too long or running out of space. Goodness knows, I'll just continue. Okay, well that's looking rather good. So now you can see I'm missing color, and the color could come in a sense of a beautiful bright pink cheek. Actually, I don't want it to be that. I want it to be like a peachy cheek. So I'm just gonna go in and give them all peachy cheeks. Now you might ask yourself or wonder, why am I doing exactly the same color on all of them? It's kind of nice to stick to a limited palette and just see how different it may look on every face, even though it's the same color. So you're letting the drawing kind of speak rather than the you know, the watercolor. So actually I quite like it. This one needs a bit of work because this was quite unthought and kind of really messy. I like this one, I like that one. That one is good. Even these two are right. This one is a little bit, needs a bit of work. So I'm going to try these and come back. Okay, so behind the scenes I have gone ahead and cleaned out the fountain pen, and we went from this color to now this color, which is the color of the ink. And I'm going to just do this color on one side and you'll see how beautiful this color is, and it's what I had in mind, and maybe this is why I kind of wasn't prepared for it. So just gonna do it on the ear and that side of the face, and once I'm ready I'm just gonna use some water and move it out slightly. So it's a beautiful color. So now we're going to take a little bit of this wet brush and just move it out ever so slightly. It's mixing with the black before, so just be aware of that. It's kind of created a nice shade now. Okay, so what I have happening here is actually I wanted to have some, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, instead of watercolor, I'm going to use this ink, which is beautiful. So I'm going to use it for the freckles, and I'm just going to add a few here and there. Just a couple of them, like that. Oh, this one is missing a nose. That's why she's looking a bit bizarre. So a few little freckles. Sometimes they also look good over the nose as well. So I'm just going to add them in a couple of places. Right, let's see whether this one is, whether we're able to save it. I'm just going to wash this brush off real quick. Okay, so that one is done. And here I have a couple of pens here which I always use to finish my work. So in fact I like the Jelly Roll White, and I like the Muji 025 and this Zebra brush pen. So if I need to correct like an eyeliner, for example, I like to go in because it's super black and intense, and I just like to put that finishing detail back in, especially if it's smudged somewhere. It depends what kind of look I'm going for. And let's see, so this one I'm trying to beautify a little bit. This little creature right here. I'm just going to give her slightly bigger eyes than first anticipated. And so is with this one. Right, so the eyes are looking better. I'm going to add just a few white elements onto here. Actually, because that's ink, it's going straight back in, so that's not working. So that will have to stay away. And then I'm going to add some detail onto their fringes. And the detail is just line work. Let me double check if it's still recording. There we go. So hopefully it's starting to come together now, and I feel so much better about it. There's nothing worse than hating your own creation, which I did in the beginning. But I stuck with it, I didn't give up. And that's the lesson that we're going to learn today. Never give up, keep going, keep adding. And sometimes this persistence of the same style repeating throughout your project, that sometimes is actually quite helpful, because you then can go over with another medium and just add a little bit of detail without needing to change the entire style of the piece, if that makes sense. So here you can see this is not a piece where I need to really try very hard with every single line. I'm just going for it, and that is it. So I could, if I wanted to, just add a few messy kind of lines around their hair, like so. That kind of looks cool, I think. Breaks it up a little bit more, just like that. Hair is never perfect, and that is good to me. Now this one is still missing her nose. Okay, so I think we are there. Are we there? There's something with the eyes that is missing for me, and then we will be there. So what I'm gonna do is just take a wet brush. Actually, in this case, I don't need to wet the brush. I'm just going to pull out my, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So this is the Penco brush, which means all I need to do is just pull out a bit of water from this ink that's already here, and I'm just touching it on one side. You don't want the eyes to become very dark all of a sudden, because there is quite a bit of darkness in this style already, so we're just pulling a little bit of color into here and giving the eyes color this way. So that is it. So this one was hard to save, but I do like all the others, and I'm going to zoom out and show you like that. So I hope you enjoyed this little sketch, and happy weekend, Friday, or whichever day that you're watching it on. And thanks for watching. See you soon.